So Ninja landed himself a skin in Fortnite. I guess that's your reward for trying to make the entirety of Times Square floss with you and falsely reporting other players for stream sniping. I'm kidding, I'm just kidding. Regardless of what you think of the guy, it's pretty cool to see how far esports can come, and let's face it, the skin looks pretty neat. I like the outfit and the pose, so I decided to just make this. Feel free to pause or slow the video if you need to. There's a lot to take in. There's some really cool advanced tips in this one that will set your learning to rocket speed. So yeah, run the intro. Alright, make sure you leave lots of room on your paper for this. This is going to be a fairly big drawing, and it's admittedly going to be a little bit more complex than the stuff I've usually been drawing, but I think you guys are up to it, and if you follow this tutorial fairly closely, I think you'll get the hang of it fairly quickly. It might take a few tries, because drawing is not easy, and it's very normal to have multiple attempts at something, so don't worry about it if you don't get it right on your first try. So just to show you what I've done here, let me just hide the preview a little bit more so it's a bit more clear. I started with a box for the head, like this, and it's a box that's at a slight angle, just like the original picture. Then I've come back a bit for the neck, but then suddenly there's this big guideline that goes forward to about this sort of height here. So these are going to be the hips, and this is the torso, and the torso is kind of leaning forward to kind of push the hips out in the pose in the original picture. And then from here we can just kind of plan out the legs. So I think it's always easier to plan out the nearer leg first, so I'm going to go for that. About halfway through this line, I'm going to bring a line that comes diagonally down like this, and I'm going to cut off there because that's where the foot is going to begin. And then on this one, I'm going to bring a line down. I'm actually going to bend it halfway down though, because again, that's kind of how that leg appears in the actual artwork for the skin. And then I like to draw the kind of shoulders in. So from here, I'm going to draw a line up here for that far shoulder and a line down here for the near shoulder. Now this near shoulder is actually quite prominent in this picture because it's, as I said, it's way closer to the viewer, and this arm comes right across the body like this. So I'm going to show you how to draw that first, and then we can draw basically everything else underneath it. So all we have now is a skeleton. I'm going to go ahead and plan out that arm. So I have to draw a circle for the shoulder first. The circle sits right along that line that we just drew. Just kind of sitting in there, forming this kind of Pokeball shape. Then coming down from the circle to about here, this is more or less halfway down the height of the torso. If you think about the height of the torso like this, if I draw a little eye shape to show you, that's pretty much how high the torso is. This elbow, this guideline here, comes to about halfway down that. So bring that to about there and then cut right across the torso in a diagonal line to about here. And if it's helpful, just draw a line off at the end there to kind of help you separate where the hand is and where the rest of the arm is. I certainly find it useful. Now this is probably already looking a little bit messy for you, but don't worry, again, that is very, very normal for a drawing. It's something that you'll have to get used to as you gain more experience. So I think it's now that we've got the arm kind of planned out, it's a good idea to start building up shapes, and I think the legs are a really, really good place to start. So all we need to do is add some definition to these. So I'm going to bring a thigh out over this guideline here, and then a small point for the knee like that. See how it very, very slightly juts out here, and then a shin that goes all the way down to that ankle. And now for the inner leg, I'm going to start the inner leg here, which is directly below this point at the very, very bottom of the torso. I'm going to bring this into the back of the knee, fold it in a bit, and then a calf that curves out and then in and then down. Okay, that's not an easy shape to nail. Might take you a few tries, but you definitely want to kind of get that bend out for the calf, and then this bit in for the ankle. Ankles are way thinner than calves. Don't draw a leg like a straight line like this unless you're going for something really cartoony. In that case it looks great, but this particular image we're looking for that really good anatomy going on there. And then for the shoe, all we have to do is just kind of draw a shape in. We'll add some details later, and the shape is pretty much something like that. It looks a little bit like a duck's bill. So it diagonally comes down, has a bit of a point at the end, and it curves around the floor like that. We'll add some detail to that later. Then just a small bridge here to link the hips together. And then for this leg, we're basically going to do the same thing, add a bit of definition to it. And to do that, it's basically a curve on each side. Just try and visualize the knee here. Sometimes I like to draw a little circle where the knee is to help me visualize and remember where that knee is. And then a line that curves out for the calf here, and then down to the ankle. And again, we've got that action of coming out for that calf, and then really, really thin for the ankle. Might help if you draw a small bump out for the ankle bone there. Now this shoe is way harder to draw, so I'm going to do this nice and slow for you. So I like to start with this inner ankle, and we basically just want to draw a line that comes out diagonally like this. We want to go roughly as far as the bottom of this shoe here. If you were to draw a straight line across like that, roughly that far, okay? And then when you do get that far, you want to draw a line that's diagonal the other way, a line that's flat, another line that's diagonal like this, and then kind of a chevron shape as you go back towards the ankle like this. Okay, not easy, and it's going to like make a lot more sense once we throw the details in, but we'll come to those last. So we'll actually go for the face now. So what I like to do with faces, usually I like to draw a big kind of cross through the middle. So I'm going to draw this, and that's basically a guideline. So from here I can draw the headband right across the top here. There we go, that big yellow headband. Some eyes resting on this middle guideline right across the face here. Just a couple of curves for now, we can add in the pupils later. Let's not forget those eyebrows. That kind of mysterious slash cocky look in his eyes there. And then a nose just coming across here and then stopping because we've actually got that blue bandana across his face, that kind of balaclava masks kind of thing going on there. And then we'll just kind of smooth out the side of the face there. This comes down to about here and then stops because here we've got part of the hood coming up over his face. So I like to, I think it's a good idea to start the hood at the back, right here behind the head. It comes out a tiny bit, curving in before then coming down into the shoulder like that, and just kind of meeting into the shoulder. And then the front of this hood goes across the face a bit, right across the chin, and then curves down as you get to the chest, and just kind of leave it there. Okay, so now we'll draw the hair. The hair's a really fun bit because it's really spiky and you get to have a bit of fun with it. But the hair is all kind of going in this direction, so make sure you just kind of draw lots of little flicks and spikes of hair that go over there. There we go. Kind of curvy shapes. I have done a tutorial on how to draw hair. I will link that up here now. Check out that card if you want a guide on how to draw hair. But for now, just a little crash course, just little flicky spikes going in that direction. Maybe one or two kind of hanging over the bandana as well if you feel like it. There's also a couple of hairs on this side of the head just to help balance out the shape. And there's a little bit of the hood just kind of hanging out over this side as well. We'll draw it kind of sticking out here before coming down towards there. Now there's a small clip kind of holding these together, so we'll draw that in now. There we go. So a lot of these guidelines are already kind of redundant. We don't really need this, for example, anymore. So let me just erase that. You don't have to do that yet, but it's something I'm going to do just to help my drawing make a bit more sense for you watching. So we may as well finish off this arm. So following the guideline, we can draw the top of the shoulder down like this. Okay, just kind of build up a shape around that guideline. Draw out a point for the elbow here. And as you do that, you can then draw the forearm. So just kind of thin at the wrist, just like you did for those ankles, okay? Very similar to the ankles. Thin at the wrist, but thicker at the center of the arm, where the two parts of the arm meet, the bicep and the forearm. And then the hand at the end. Hands are always tricky. Don't worry if you have a bit of trouble with this. I'm just going to curve that out so it's a bit more easy to work with. So I like to draw a wedge for a hand first, and then the fingers coming off that wedge. So one. And they don't have to be perfect at this point because you can always refine them later when you go over them with your Sharpie, but for now they basically just look like fries sticking out of a packet. But if they look weird to you, that's fine, that's good in fact, because it means your eye can tell there's a problem with it. It means you've already learned a lot about drawing already. So good for you if you can tell those look a bit funny. But if they look like French fries at this point, don't worry about it. We're going to refine that later. It's just a little bit resting over that hand there, and there's a blue bit going over this forearm. If at any point I'm going too fast, that's kind of just because of this is the speed I'm used to drawing at. But if I am going too fast, you can always control the video and slow things down to suit you a bit more. That's perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, I'd expect most people to slow down drawing tutorials because we do go fast. So I'm just drawing a line here for the chest, and then there's another bit just over here for the shoulder. Just rest that over there. And then I just realised we haven't actually finished off this hood. There's a small crease in the hood there, so I'll just bring a line up to there and then stop. And then over this clip, there's a bit resting over the shoulder like that. Now for the torso, I haven't drawn any of the torso yet, so let's fix that. Let's come down from behind the arm and fold in here before coming out a bit right at the top of the thigh. And when you get there, this is part of the coat by the way, we're going to bring this down over the thigh, down to here between the legs, and then we're going to curve this right up over the torso, under the arm, and this goes right up into this clip here. Okay, now again, I'm just going to get rid of some guidelines so things are a bit more clear for you. There we go, we don't need those anymore, just so we can see more of the final image. You don't have to do that yet if you're worried about erasing a line you want to keep. That's perfectly fine. You keep your lines in place. Now for the rest of the jacket, we've got a bit going down here, and it kind of sticks out over this thigh, and then it follows the outside of the body up like that. Nice and simple. So you can see this is already kind of taking some form. We're most of the way there. I think it's a good idea now to get rid of this back arm, or well, not rather get rid of it, rather actually draw it. So draw a line that comes out from the torso, and then a line off for the wrist there. Again, I think it is useful to draw a line for the wrist just to help you visualize it. And again, we're going to draw a wedge kind of sticking out. Notice how it's longer here, because that's where the index finger is going to come from. That's the finger you point at things with, and that's where the kind of back of the hand is. So from here, then we can just kind of mimic the shape of the hand in the original picture. So I'm just going to draw some French fries sticking out of this. I have done a tutorial on how to draw hands. It's a very cartoony tutorial. I will link that up here in the card over there. You can have a look at that if you need help drawing hands. Hands are super hard. They are my worst enemy. I hate drawing hands. But pretty much everything you'll ever draw has hands, unless it's, you know, an object or a tree or something. It's a funny looking tree if it's got some hands, but hey, maybe that's the idea for a cartoon character for you. Have a run away with that one. That is what we specialize with on this channel, is cartoons. So there's a pocket over here. Okay, so it's just a diagonal kind of line there with a zip coming off the side. There is a crease going up into that. Maybe a line here as well, just like there is in the official artwork. And there's a little bit of jacket there that we can't really see because of how I've drawn the arm there. But take my word for it, there's a small black part of the jacket there. Now there's a small part of the torso. This bit kind of dangles down too, so I'm going to draw that in. I think it's like a double layered jacket, so we'll add those in now, just sitting underneath that upper layer, and then a bit for the torso there. Now these legs need a touch more detail. We are nearly there. If you've got this far, congratulations, because this has not been an easy tutorial. This is definitely my most advanced one yet. And if you've made it this far, power to you. You are coming a long way. So this is a blue stripe on the outside of the leg. And then over this knee, we've got like a pad, like a lot of Fortnite characters have. And then we can just divide that into 3, as it is in the original artwork. We've got some kind of knee protectors, I guess. Because, you know, if you're going to go out into a battle royale, you definitely need your knee pads, never mind a gun. And we'll add a pad over the very, very top of each shoe, just like this. Very kind of sporty looking shoe. They are trainers, I guess, so yeah, that makes sense. And there's a small bit here sticking out, a little tongue, I guess, for the shoe, just kind of sticking out over the top. And then we'll add the top of the shoe there. Just a small kind of U-shaped curve separating the leg from the feet. Again, there's a small bit here in front of this fastener for the shoe. And now we are better off drawing in the soles, so we'll do that now. So starting at the end of the shoe, we'll draw a line in towards the shoe a bit, but then come down. And then we're basically going to follow the shape of the bottom of the shoe before we get to this point, come up a bit, and then follow it to the back of the shoe. Alright, and now for this shoe, again we're going to kind of follow the bottom, come up a bit for the front, follow the shape of the bottom again, and then this bit back here is the heel. So you can kind of bring this bit over it if you like, just to kind of help hide that heel a bit more, if that makes sense. And we'll add a black bit here. There's a darker, little kind of softer bit of the shoe right there on the very, very top. And as far as details go, we are pretty much there. We've got one very, very important part to add though, other than a small patch in the front of the mask. I forgot about that. Kind of looks like he's got a silly mouth now. I don't know what he's saying. His mouth is very, very close to his mouth. Looks very silly. So we're missing his logo. His logo goes here. So we'll add that in now. So it's only a small detail, so you don't have to get it absolutely perfect. But a good way to draw it is to draw a circle like this. And then we'll draw the shape of the face coming down from this. Is basically a chin. Just coming down from that circle, just kind of sticking out. Right, across the circle we're going to draw the top of the mask. See how it curves over the nose there? And then there are 2 white eyes either side of this. A big yellow bandana going over those eyes. And then the bit where the bandana fastens at the side. And lastly, that very, very characteristic haircut that all sweeps over to the left. Very much like the actual model, like, you know, got that in common. It's almost like they're going for a theme here. And there we go, you got the logo just kind of sat there on the shoulder. So this is looking pretty good. If you followed the tutorial this far, just going to tidy up that thumb a bit there, then good on you, because that was not easy. So if you're feeling especially daring, grab your Sharpie and go over all the lines you want to keep. You want to forget about these guidelines. We don't need any of these guidelines anymore. But go over the lines you want to keep, and if you're feeling even more daring than that, throw on a bit of colour on this guy and finish him off, and you'll have your very own really cool drawing of the NINJA Fortnite skin from the ICON series. I'm going to throw some colour on mine now, so I'll see you in just a second. Looking stealthy. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Your feedback is really valuable to me, and I would love to know how you'd feel about me doing advanced tutorials like this one in the future. Before I go, don't forget to join the Draw Cartoons Discord. We'd love you to join us because we really want to see all of your drawings and all of your memes and everything else you make over there. Just scroll on down, hit the link in the description. If you need to make an account, it's free and it's really easy to do. And yeah, we'd love to see you there. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you drop the video a like. It's really helpful if you do, and especially subscribe if you want to keep learning to draw the fast and easy way. Until next time.